fam? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Bold Standard Podcast. Your host back with you, Justin Harley, Dylan Martin, giving you guys some more Chargers content. Even on the bye week, we're still here. Justin, how you feeling? How you enjoying this bye week for the Chargers?
Feeling good, man. We definitely need it. I think the team needs a week to, no pun intended, recharge. Kind of just get back into our groove and doing what we do. 11 weeks of football, starting a week early, obviously with the Hall of Fame game. We've been playing football for a long time, and the bye week is well needed. So feeling good, sitting at 7-4. No ill feelings towards anything. Obviously, really bad loss last week, but it is what it is, man. Still sitting at 7-4. Still firmly in the playoff picture. So still feeling good, man. I don't have any issues at where we're at right now, considering everything that we're battling against. So feeling good.
Definitely 7-4 and heading into the bye. If you looked at with a step back perspective, right? If we told everybody all these injuries we have, certain play by other people that we added to the team, right? And you said you're sitting at 7-4 heading into week 12, your bye week. I think you would have to take that. You know what I mean? Talking about not having Slater the whole year, having all out over half of the year now. It's good for us to be sitting at this point. It sucks the way that it happened with that game in Jacksonville to go into the bye, but I think everybody was ready for the bye. That's not an excuse, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this episode today. But at the same time, we had so much travel leading up to that game, so it's good for these guys to get off their feet. A Harbaugh game in the whole week. So, what we're gonna do here with this bye week episode. Obviously, we don't have a game to preview this Sunday. So what we did, we reached out to the fans, we reached out to you guys, and we sent out on our socials a couple questions and really just wanted to get your guys' questions and responses and comments, just anything you guys had on the Chargers. So we're doing a little mailbag episode today, going to give you guys our thoughts on what you wanted to hear from us. So we took your questions. And we heard you guys, so we appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the love. We're always looking at those socials. So shout out to you guys for what you sent to us. We're gonna kick it off here with this first one. I thought this was a perfect way to start. We got one off the Instagram. Asked us, "Are we cooked?" Chat. um, I say no, but I'll let you lead this one off. Are we cooked?
Yeah, man, I think we're absolutely not cooked. Now that O-line could, it could qualify as being cooked. But are we cooked? Absolutely not. Like we just said, start the pod, 7-4. After 11 weeks, we're on a bye week now. I think no way in any means are we cooked. I think that we need to reevaluate. I think we need to look real closely at what we're doing and just the offense. And I'm not really ever really worried about the defense. Obviously, we know we played a really bad game offensively and defensively last week. But I'm confident in a defensive bounce back. Offensively, obviously, we have those issues. But we just need to get creative. I think we've shown certain weeks that we can implement game plans to protect the quarterback and play a more heavy protection style offense.
Yeah,
Um, and probably going to need some more of that going down the stretch. So don't think we're cooked by any means. I just think we need to make sure that we're utilizing the offense, utilizing those tight ends, and just everybody, running backs included, in that protection scheme, and make sure our 10 is protected because if 10 ain't protected, it's going to be real hard. I don't care what quarterback you put behind any type of O-line event. They're not protected. They're not going to play well. I mean, you've seen
right.
it. You see the people who they talk about being the best quarterbacks in the league. You put them under duress, they don't perform. So um, protect 10 and we'll be all right.
For sure. You'll see the vibe on some of these questions. It feels like some of the overreaction Monday type questions because, coming off that, we got beat down, bro. Like that was a terrible loss to the Jacksonville. Like there's honestly, if we did a post game show, I wouldn't have had a supercharger for us. There was nobody to talk about that did anything good. Like that was a terrible game. So, a valid question, on a Monday after a 35-6 beatdown. But
Yeah.
no, we're not cooked. We're still in a playoff spot, and we got a tough stretch ahead of us to finish off the year, which we'll mention some probably later down in this pod. But not cooked. We can control our destiny still. We have tiebreakers over teams that are in front of us or below us as well, with AFC and divisional play that we've done well in so far. So no, not cooked. But yeah, I think we just got to right the ship, and after the bye week with a game against the Raiders, I think we'll be able to get back on the ship and have a better feelings. But it does suck to sit on this 35-6 loss for 2 weeks. I will say that we got to think about it, but maybe that can be a motivating factor to finish strong these last six, knowing that we can't come out and have any more performances like that.
No, definitely not. The margin for error is very small. So got to come out, got to execute, got to be ready to go. So bye week, get it together and let's get it rocking. So we'll jump right into our next question. We got this one here. It says, who's to blame for the loss? Jim Harbaugh, Jesse Minter, Greg Roman, or Ryan Ficken?
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, it could be one, it could be a combination. I'll throw it over to you. Who's to blame for the loss? Who do you think if you have one of them?
Man, all four of them shoulder something from that loss. I mean, Harbaugh did nothing to bring us out in the second half. Supposed to be a rah-rah guy, bring the ship together guy, and we came out in the second half and looked horrible. Just gave up two long drives, and the only drive we had was a three and out within 14 minutes of gameplay, whole third quarter and early into the fourth quarter, which was terrible. But for me, and then honestly, I think Ryan Ficken needs to figure some stuff out because our special teams has been trash. Um, Guys either need to just get cut or not be out there on some of the kickoff return team and kickoff team because Conklin has been terrible and he's out there just not touching people and we're starting our drives from the 20 and 25 and they're starting from the 35 40.
Yeah,
It's becoming a routine now. But to me, for that game specifically, I'm going Greg Roman because I don't know how we switch up from such a pass protection heavy game plan against the Steelers, understanding that they have really good rushers and guys that are going to come after us, and then just totally do something different against the Jaguars. Now, we talked about how the Jaguars don't generate a lot of pressure, but against a battle line, you're going to generate pressure. It doesn't matter we're going against. We have to understand that we're going to be the weaker
yeah,
unit, most likely. So we got to help Herbert out, like you mentioned, protect 10. And we left Trevor Penning in his first start with us at left tackle on an island, and he has not been a great tackle. He was better at guard. That's why he started at guard for the Saints this year.
yep.
Um, I just don't know where did all the chips go? Where did the help go? And then he leaves Aranda Gadsden, arguably one of our better pass catchers right now, especially recently with Herbert, one-on-one against Trayvon Walker and on third down. Like, what are we doing? Like I don't know. Roman just gave. We had zero rhythm ever, like in the whole entire game.
Hmm.
Even after coming up with an opportunity to do something early on with the interception that Dante got us to put us in their side of the field. And then once that didn't go, it kind of you could kind of see the vibe because they moved the ball at will. But Greg just gave us no chance with the way he called that game, and yeah, I just didn't like what I saw from him.
Yeah, like you said, I think everyone shoulders some of the blame in the game and why we lost. But I do lean more heavily on our offensive and defensive coordinators. And like you said, special teams has been pretty bad. I mean, so it's just been a kind of trend the whole year, just not getting good returns and not covering returns well either. So definitely got some stuff to blame there. I do think Ficken's group is being kind of I don't know how much control he has over. I mean, obviously he has input and control, but some of the people that we've been losing, think about the Caleb Murphy, some of these guys that, we might have waived and, to make room for others. I mean, I'm sure he's probably weighed in and like, hey, I really need this guy. And it's like, well, we don't want to let go of this person for this reason. Okay, well, we'll bring him back on the practice squad and up gets claimed by somebody else. So I know that that's hurting his unit a little bit too. But yeah, like I said, Greg Roman, Jesse Minter, I put majority of the blame on them because I mean, majority of the game is played on offense and defense. Special teams is a small part of it, but it's an integral part. But the time of possession is offense and defense. So yeah, but just a bad game from Roman play calling for multiple things, just like you called out. Can't leave Rondé Gadsden one-on-one blocking with a
Why?
he's a number one pick. Like the guy, I mean, he hasn't had tremendous seasons, but like the guy's a beast. Trayvon Walker's a beast. Like he's just
Yeah.
that's just a stupid. I don't get that. Like there's no way you put him in one-on-one. And he's not a blocker. He's a pass catching tight end, a really good one that we've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You don't leave him in one-on-one situations. And then like you said, treat leaving Trevor Penning on an island. Like yeah, he might be a upgrade from Deculus, but like you just leave him on an island? Like,
We
how much
didn't
of an
get all
upgrade do you
back.
think he is? Yeah, he ain't all. So yeah, just pretty poor just planning, and I don't know what went into it there, but even defensively, I'm looking at that game plan and how they just ran all over us. That, to me, it made no sense. I'm thinking like, okay, Minner makes great adjustments. So if they ran down our throat first half, load the box, man, load the box and make Trevor Lawrence beat us.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna let them just run for 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards every single time. I get it. I know your defense. You like to have those light, lighter boxes where you're not, putting all those D linemen and you're sending phantom pressures on third downs, but Trevor Lawrence was killing us on third downs because they kept, we would disguise and try to act like we're going to blitz, and we would just drop back every single time, generate no pressure with our rush, and it was just like it was a very vanilla game plan on defense, and they had an answer for it, just like last year when we played the Bucks and Liam Cohen as their OC, they tore us apart. Now fast forward to the Jags and Liam Cohen is the head coach, tore us apart.
Yep.
So. They need they, I really wasn't. I really was disappointed in Minner and his game plan. Wanted more adjustments, didn't get them. But like I said, man, we're going into bye week now. I hope that we have a good kind of understanding of like, man, these teams are. I don't want to say figuring this out, but like we need to switch things up. We need to do things a little bit differently. Like the personnel may not lend itself to play how we want to play all the time. Let's switch it up. So.
Yeah.
We'll see. I think like you said, they all shoulder some of that blame. And Harbaugh is the head coach. Like, come on, man, get on your coordinators, get them going.
Yeah. Hopefully he's doing that in this bye week, and maybe Minner can do something different. Like you mentioned that Liam's had his number. Bucks whooped us last year. We didn't get any stops against them. Jags did the same thing. But I'm surprised he didn't go to that pressure like you mentioned. I had something that's why I wanted to follow up on this. Um, when we only send four, when we just go straight vanilla, like just try to send four, we get pressure on 20% of the dropbacks, which is the fourth lowest rate. When we send an extra rusher, when we actually send a blitz, 52% pressure rate, fourth or third highest in the league.
Hmm,
So it's like, why don't we do that a little bit more? Are we just afraid that it's going to take away from the emphasis on it when we do actually do it? Or are they going to see it coming? I don't know. I just think, with stats like that, that just shows me like maybe we could get away with doing it a little bit more, especially on like third downs. Like, come on.
absolutely.
And to a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, moving on. Next question. We got another one that's in regards to that game. Just what are your thoughts on this one? They said, "What do you say if you're Jim after an ass whooping like that?"
Well, say who's got it better than us, and I'd say just about everybody. Yeah, no, I don't think there's. I say there's. I don't think there's much to say. There's a lot to say, obviously. But when you play bad in all phases of a football game, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. We got to get better, and then we got to look at every single. We can't leave any stone unturned. We need to go into this bye week. We need to be reviewing a ton of film, and we need to be making a game plan for the rest of the season. Not for the next week, because it's going to be a continuous. I think every week is this gonna we're gonna have the same exact issue. We know our personnel and what it is. It's not gonna get better. It's not just gonna magically overnight go from the worst pass blocking and run blocking unit in the
Right.
league to average or even better or top half. It's not going to happen. It's going to be a bottom four unit in the league the rest of the year. It is. It's not changing. So we need to have a game plan going against it. So honestly, I don't know. Jim just needs to. I don't know. I don't know what he would say, but I know they need to be reviewing a lot of film and they need to be having a lot of hard discussions. So I don't know exactly what he's saying, but I know he's probably saying a lot.
In context of us having a bye, I think he should be saying exactly what he said. See you next week. No
Yeah.
need to sit on that too long. We'll attack that when we come back, and let's attack it when we're fresh, not after
Mm,
we're beat up and tired and have some traveling. Like that was our third consecutive East Coast trip after being home. So like we were going back and forth every week. And I said this early on in the year, I think in our preseason pod, I mentioned once we get to about this time in the schedule, I was interested to see where we'd be at because not because the Jags are a tough opponent, but that schedule was just brutal. We started by going to South America, coming back, being on the road again. And then when you start from that Giants game, we went east to west, all early starts, by the way. It wasn't like we
yeah.
went east to west and got a primetime game. We had to go to New York to play at 1 o'clock Eastern, so 10 Pacific for their body clock. Come home. Then we go to Miami, come home. Then we go to Nashville, come home. And that's with other games in between that are tough ones, like the prime time against the Steelers before this Jags game.
Yeah.
That's an emotional game to get up for on prime time, and then you got to go back and go on the road to Jacksonville, East Coast again. So like that's tough. I mean, I was trying to look up and get a more accurate percentage, and they wouldn't find it for me. ChatGPT didn't really help me out like I thought he would on the early starts, but it's about 40% of 40% win rate when you go from east to west. And I think that drops significantly when it is an early window game. So
Yeah.
um, after that, you just say, I'll see you next week. And then when you see him next week, though, we keep everybody accountable for that last game because you're only as good as what your last game, and we can't see that on the next one.
No, absolutely not. Very pretty poor showing, but like you said, next week we'll address it and we'll do what we got to do. Let's jump into this next question because we do got a bunch of feedback from the fans and the followers. So we appreciate everybody kind of pitching in and giving us some stuff to talk about in this bye week. Get our minds off of that Jags loss, which it's hard to do. So this one, if healthy, do you think Junior Colston would have made that tackle on 4th and 1 on Sunday? That's a funny one. I love the prospect of Junior Colston. Um, I just haven't seen any sort of inkling that he's going to be able to be an impact player for us. I mean, like I said, you've seen what he's done in Michigan. You've seen what he's done, obviously, under Harbaugh and Minner and in that Michigan defense. But I just haven't seen the ability to even just process the game. It just seems like it's a little too fast for him. And even in the preseason, I mean, he was just making tons of just mistakes. And when we say, well, do you make that tackle on 4th and 1 on Sunday? I don't know because I saw it on goal line in preseason where he just runs into the back of our own guy. So I don't know. I don't know if he made that tackle. Honestly, if I had to say yes or no, I'd probably say no, he doesn't make that tackle. So that would be my answer on that one.
I hit you with the Kodak. I hope so because
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, honestly though, if Henley's not making that play, and I don't know how he didn't make that play. I mean, that would have been a nice little momentum shifter because that was in their own territory. But
yeah.
I think a lot of linebackers are making that play and should make that play. So I'm gonna say Junior should make that play. Do I think he will? Jury's still out. I'll go with your answer on that one because what we saw in the preseason didn't give me confidence in it. But I hope by week 11 he would have probably figured that out. He is quick to the sideline, so I think he could have made that play.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think we're taken away from who should have made that play. Henley, make that play, bro. You're supposed to be an all pro this year. You come in talking this
Yeah.
big game. You had all these tackles last year, and you can't make that one. Like, I don't know where he's been in the last couple of weeks. We need you to be that all pro linebacker holding down the defense sideline to sideline, and that's a play an all pro makes. Right? I mean, and we're not having this question being asked if Fred Warner's our middle linebacker or
Absolutely
some of
not.
these other guys, as Shair on the Houston. Like, we're not asking
Yeah.
that question if those guys are our linebacker on that play. So,
No.
I think that's an easy one to move forward from. Hopefully, I think Henley makes that play the next time. So, glad you did it in a beat down. Now don't do it when it's a close game.
For sure.
This is an interesting one. I kind of just touched on it a little bit with that little statistic that I found, but in your opinion, what needs to change in our travel or pregame with early East Coast starts?
Hmm. That's a good one. Because I'll be honest, I have not paid attention to, I'm sure every team does things differently. Some teams are probably going down a day before or 2 days before, or I don't see many teams obviously going down day of. So um I'm not really sure, what their pregame kind of regimen looks like, like when they're traveling on those road games and those west to east coast trips. Um Obviously probably something probably needs to change. I mean, especially like you noted. I mean, we haven't had any late windows. They've pretty much all been 1 o'clock kickoffs Eastern time. Like obviously, like you said, for our guys and their bodies, knowing that's 10 a.m. for them pretty much on that Pacific time. So it's an early start, and it's for those bodies, waking up and getting adjusted to that. Maybe they need to go sooner. Maybe they need to get more reps in that time zone so that they get that, their body's waking up and they're realizing, oh, okay, it's not 10, it is actually 1 o'clock now.
Right.
So maybe that's something when you get out there sooner. Obviously, I know we like to practice in our home, in the boat, you know, um, practice field and be out there doing that in our comfortable kind of surroundings. But maybe we need to get out there earlier and just understand and get a couple days of that time zone under our belt. I don't know. I don't know. That's a question that's a good question. Um, a question that I probably really don't have an answer for.
That's a good question though. Like you said, I mean, do we need to treat it like an overseas game, or at least in sometimes, how they get out there a couple days early, like you mentioned. So
Mhm.
for our East Coast trip, maybe we just get there. We leave Thursday night after our practice, get out there, get to bed Thursday, wake up there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and just do a Friday
Mhm.
walk through there. It doesn't have to be a really vigorous practice on a Friday. At that point, you know what your game plan is. Just do a walk through at a local, maybe a field you could find. Something like that. But I don't really know. But if you do look at it, it was an issue this year because Giants game, that's a winnable game that we lost early start. Miami, it wasn't our best performance. We got the win, we hung on, but honestly, it could have been a game that went their way if Herbert wasn't Superman in the pocket in the last minute.
Yep,
And then this one was just absolutely no show. So two out of the three was just really down performances, with three being hanging on because of number 10. So interesting trend, but shifting gears, we don't have any more the rest of the year and probably not in the playoffs either, judging by some of these matchups we could have. The rest of the year, the two road trips we have that are furthest ones are just Midwest, KC, and Dallas. So I'm hopeful that we don't really have to worry about that early clock anymore and just play good football in the time zones that are a little bit more preferable for us.
for sure. Yeah, and I think the only way that obviously we'd be in those time zones again, making those kind of moves is obviously if you get into the playoff picture and we're sitting seventh seed, sixth seed, and we got to go to, whether it's I think it'd probably have to be a seventh seed honestly because we would either go to like maybe Buffalo, maybe Patriots, depending on just how it
Yeah,
plays
those would
out.
be the only two to get us all the way over because
Exactly.
Jacksonville's not going to go take Indy's division, and then
No.
we play Denver.
And then
That
the
that's
Denver.
that's close. So it'd
Exactly.
really be if we fall back to that last seed and have to go see New England if they don't hold on to the one seed would be the one. 'Cause,
Exactly. So that I don't see it happening, but it also will not be a 10 a.m., a 1 p.m.
no,
kickoff. Those will be primetime
no.
games, all of them. They'll be pretty good time. So, um, let's go ahead and jump on to the next one. So after Sunday's disaster on offense, only rushing for 41 yards, do you rush Hampton back? I'm gonna start off with this one. I mean, for one. I don't think there's a such thing as rushing them back because they already talked about, having them after the bye week. They told them that they weren't going to open his window until after the bye week anyway. So I don't think there would be a really like rushing him back. I think that he is probably going to be back week 13. Now, is he going to be bell cow week 13? No, I think Vidal has shown that he can give a positive impact to this offense. And I think, Roman, he likes having those two running backs. He doesn't like running one guy into the ground. I think we did it early on with Hampton because it was like, okay, well, that's what we got. Then once you pivoted and needed to go to Vidal, he showed he could be effective. So I don't think you rush him back. I don't think that I love Hampton and I think that he's going to be a great running back for us. But our O line is just showing that we're not opening holes outside of the Steelers game. I thought we had some pretty outside of the Steelers and the Vikings game. I think there was some pretty good running lanes for us to kind of exploit.
Yeah.
Um, our O line is obviously better suited, run blocking versus pass blocking, but we're not setting the world on fire in that aspect either. So no, I don't think you rush him back, but I also think that he's probably going to be back week 13 anyway. So I don't think there would be anything to rush back. I think that he'll just be back week 13. So we'll see.
Right. He's looked close, right? He's been on the field for warm-ups the last couple of games and no more boot. So it's trending towards, and I'm hopeful that when we get to next week on Tuesday, out there limited in practice, what I assume, and then a couple of limiteds get to a full by the end of the week to play because it would be nice. And like you said, Vidal still deserves some carries. We don't just need to be like, okay, Hampton, you're back here. It's 23 carries.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, blessing in disguise could be he didn't take all this punishment this middle of the season. Now he's fresh for this playoff run and can handle the load when we really need him to instead of being banged up in a week 17 game that we need you to get some tough yards for us. Because I think when he's out there, man, love the way he runs. I love that burst. So don't want to rush him back, but I do want to see him back because, I saw something today. Herbert's led the team in rushing 5 out of 11 games this year. And if you told us that at the beginning of the year, we probably would have been like, nah, no way. And even now, I'm looking at it like how because that does not show a running game that Harbaugh or Roman wants. And even regardless of us being pass heavy, you still
Hmm.
can't have your quarterback being the leading rusher even when you're handing the ball off some. So
Yeah.
that just goes, and I think that's twofold. It's not just the running back, that's the O line.
Yeah.
because we lost tackles. Like when Alt's out there, we run the ball a lot better, right? So we lost a road grader at left tackle. We lost Slater's a good one too. And then our biggest signing of the offseason has been an absolute dud in Mekhi Becton, who was supposed to be a road grader as well, and he's in and out of the lineup. So every position that's supposed to help us with running the ball is either not there or been really bad when they have been there. So we're just not getting the help we need. So hopefully that can right the ship. Yeah, don't rush him back. He's too valuable to rush back, but it doesn't seem like he needs to be rushed. I think we'll see him against the Raiders at least in some capacity, and I'm looking forward to that because eight running the ball, you can see it's a different type of burst than when 30 gets it.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Next one we got here, and this is an interesting one, especially with all the shuffling we've got. This is more of a comment. We had someone drop for us. The coaching staff's refusal to start, he said Slayer, but I think he meant Sawyer at left tackle is hurting the team. Um,
Player at left tackle, that might be crazy.
I think Slayer might hurt the team at left tackle too. But no, in all actuality, Sawyer out there. I'll let you start with this one because you kind of mentioned this early on when we were talking about Pipkins being that swing tackle, and then when we first lost Slater, and then with Alt being hurt, Sawyer being a possible solution. So I'll let you kick that off.
Yeah, man. You go back to his rookie year. He was, I would say he was more than serviceable when Slater went down, stepping in at left tackle. So yeah, I mean, I think I can understand why they prefer to have Deculus, Penning at left tackle as opposed to Sawyer because what do we want to be? We want to be a good running team. And Sawyer's not that good of a run blocker. He's a really good pass blocker, but he's not that good as a run blocker. So I can see why they want Deculus out there because he's more physical in the run game. And Penning, I mean, he's really physical in the run game, but we're struggling in the pass protection department right now. So we need to shift. We need to switch some things up. And we got these big burly tight ends that and Matlock as the fullback DT that you roll out in these run heavy sets. You mean to tell me you can't put Sawyer at left tackle, sacrifice a little bit of run blocking to make sure that that left tackle spot has better pass protection, and then roll out a Fisk, a Disley, a Matlock to add in, the run blocking um, I guess you could say manpower. Come on, I think that we definitely couldn't experiment with it. I am definitely confused as to why we just keep rolling out with Deculus. Um, I mean, I'm cool with going with Penning, but like you mentioned earlier, you can't leave him on an island. You can't leave any of our tackles on the island against good pass rushers. I think you could leave him on the island if it's a it's a you're going to get a pass rusher that really isn't a marquee name. Give him maybe a one-on-one rep here and there.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen Hines and Trayvon Walker, those are guys you don't want to leave him on the island with. So I would love to see Sawyer at left tackle. I think that he would give us a ton of pass blocking protection department. So does it happen? I don't know. We'll see. But I think it's something that needs to be explored.
If we're a pass heavy team like Roman's shown that he wants to be right now, and especially with our best player being Herbert, I think it makes a lot of sense for him to be that guy.
Yeah.
So he's right on base with asking that question or having that comment and having that outlook of that's it's just hurting the team with them refusing to do it. Now I will say Sawyer got hurt early on. I believe that was the Broncos game.
Mhm.
When he ended up having no choice but to have a Deculus and Bobby Hart left tackle, right tackle combo. Now, when Sawyer was back, now that argument could shift. Okay, do we put him instead of Deculus? That's when that argument. Now the argument's also shifted between instead of Deculus and Sawyer. I guess it would have to be Sawyer and Penning. So like. Um, it keeps shifting over the course of the past 6 weeks since he got hurt because he was hurt for a couple of weeks to where he wasn't even practicing. He wasn't even active, I believe, in
Yeah.
like week 5 and 6.
Hmm.
When we first got to see the Deculus and Bobby Hart combo. But
Yeah.
I think it's an option that needs to be explored, especially if Penning struggles again, because obviously we've seen that Deculus is not giving us good numbers. So I would love that if we give Penning another shot, I'm cool with that. But if he struggles again, and not just because we didn't help him play calling wise, but if we do help him and then the only opportunities he is one-on-one, he's just getting beat, then maybe we should look at Sawyer because Max Crosby is coming next Sunday. And then after that, it's Monday night against the Eagles. And the way the Eagles been looking lately, Not just on the edge, but inside, man. We better gear up because that boy Jalen Carter is coming, and I do not want to see him hit my quarterback. So,
No,
um,
at all. Jordan Davis either. I ain't trying to
oof,
see that neither. So
keep those
no,
guys away.
and you had a name in there, man. Shout out to Bobby, man. I'm from New York. We know a different Bobby, Bobby Schmurder, but Bobby Hart, man. He was playing really well for us, man. So I would love to see him back. I know Pipkin is kind of, entrenched there at the right tackle spot, being our swing tackle, but when he was banged up, Bobby was in and Bobby was playing really well. And I would say he was playing better than Pipkins as well. So, put him at right tackle, maybe have Sawyer at the left tackle. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think there's combinations that we got a lot of time to explore. So I think it
Or
needs to be,
Bobby back and kick Pippins to the left. Give that a try. Like it can't hurt to give
yeah,
him a try at the left because I mean, at the end of the day, any option right now, you gotta give a look to, especially if Bobby Hart was consistent like he was at right. Okay,
yeah,
stick him back at right and see if Pipkins has the ability to play left, which he's played it
yeah.
in the past.
Yeah,
Not
if
as
you're a
great
swing
as time.
tackle, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You swing, and you
Yeah.
ain't just gonna sit on one side, especially if you've been being outplayed by somebody else at that right tackle spot. So,
In week 1 and 2, that's who was the left tackle before Alt. I mean, excuse me. After Alt went down, he was the left tackle. So I mean,
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into our next question here. This one's kind of a longer one, kind of a multi-question in there. So anything can happen, but more of a realistic question. What can they do to help with the lack of protection? Play calling, get back to running the ball more. It just feels like we are leaving Herbie out to dry and everyone knows it. Um, I think a lot can be done, and I think that we've kind of touched on a lot of it in some of these last questions. So not to beat a dead horse, but definitely play calling. Um, we've seen it in the Steelers game where we've had some big max protection schemes. So I definitely think Greg Roman and his play calling can definitely help with that. So I think that's a portion of it. Running the ball, absolutely, but I do think that our run blocking needs to hold up, and I think that when you're running the ball and you're getting 1 yard here and you're getting blown up in the backfield, I mean, I think it's hard to keep running because then you're just behind the sticks the whole time. So I think that there are parts of both of those, the play calling and running the ball more, but you got to have success when you're running the ball to keep wanting to go back to it. And I think that's just been an issue with our team, and we just not consistent. You may, probably look good every couple of times, but then you'd have a lot of negative runs, and it's like, okay, well, don't really want to be behind the sticks too much because then you got an O line and got to pass protect. And if we're 3rd and 10, we ain't got a lot of time for our guys to get to that first down marker. So
yeah.
I think this one's a tough one, but I think play calling. I think the just having a better game plan schemed up. I think that would definitely help a lot.
For sure. Play calling and game plan for me go hand in hand. So I'm going with that aspect of that is with the play calling. So I think Greg shoulders a lot of that blame,
Yeah.
um, and a lot of the ways that he can help the protection. And it's like, why did we go away from the what worked well with the Steelers game plan? Like, why couldn't we just keep that same game plan? And I know tailor it to a defense because obviously they play different schemes at Jacksonville compared to the Steelers, right? But still, like from our side and how we attack the defense could have been the same as far as, okay, the first thing first is we're making sure that Herbert's not getting a touch. Second thing is we're going to try to run the ball, right? So there was just no rhythm in this last game, and a lot of these losses where we've looked bad, I think does go back to that play calling. And I just think that was just really bad in this one, and the approach, the game plan, didn't help. So the game plan and the play calling being bad, who does both of those things? Greg Roman. So as bad as the protection can be, there's ways to help with that. And like we saw against the Steelers, I mean, get the ball out quick for Herbert, do stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I just didn't like what I saw. So I think that's what his mindset needs to be, honestly, just the rest of the year moving forward. And then just open it up on certain situations. I don't know why he just went from, okay, I'm just gonna leave. We're just gonna play open football. Like I didn't. We had zero rhythm that whole game, and I just don't see what he did with to help us out in that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was something that was just like, well, this is what we got. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we started our game off, and I don't really want to adjust, and we're just gonna keep doing the same thing. Yeah, I didn't like it at all either. So
Yeah. Well, the last portion of this, we got a few different responses and questions, right? And then a couple of different things that we put out there for to get the feedback in. So the second half, we were focusing on the questions that were more playoff specific, and then to finish off the year type of questions and feedback that we got. So These last few ones, we're going to be looking forward instead of backwards. A lot of these we've been analyzing the season and not really talking about what's to come. And so we're going to do a little bit of looking ahead here in this section. But the first one we got was how do we feel about the Chargers season to this point?
It's a good question. I think we talked about it early on. I feel good. 7-4, despite all the odds stacked against us. I'm not going to go too much into this one because I think we've really touched on this one, but I feel really good. I mean, I don't think that we could be obviously, we could be. I think ceiling 9-2. I think that we maybe even 10-1 to be honest, because I think the one true game that I feel like we probably were outmatched just based on how they've been playing, probably the Colts game. But outside of that, every other game was a winnable game. I know we looked bad against the Jags, but the Jags are not a better team than us. They just came out with firepower and they had a lot at stake on at this game. If they lose this game, they're probably out of the playoff picture, and they would need to probably like win out. So I like the way I love where we're sitting at. We could be sitting 9-2, 8-3, but 7-4 with everything that we've had to endure. I like where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, I'm optimistic about it. I do like where we're at because of the fact that obviously I can't be mad about it being a playoff team. Like season ended today, we're in the playoffs, and I'm watching the Chargers playoff game, which is great, right? Especially considering all the things we've had to overcome. But one thing I do think that needs to be analyzed is some of the inconsistencies of this team, right? The highs to the lows. Like we have such a great win on a prime time against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then come back and look like this the next week, right? Um, the inconsistencies with the play calling or the offense at times, right? We started off really bad in the red zone. We've picked it up a little bit, and then now it's been hit or miss. And you mentioned the ceiling probably being 9-2. I agree with that. 10-1 kind of is a stretch because even though we're the better team, I don't think there's a way that we can look at that Jag team and be like, we should have won. Like,
Yeah.
especially first half, maybe I'll be like, oh, because I was still optimistic going in the third quarter. Okay, one stop and we get the ball back and score. It could have been a tie game. But the way they came out and just whooped us and dominated us, that I think y'all got it. Jags. I'm not. I hope I never go to Jacksonville again. Tired of that place.
For
But
real.
that Commanders game was one terrible play calling, bad offense, couldn't get anything done. And then for some reason we let them go off against us in that one. So I think that one could have been won. And that's a home game. We should have won. So I think Colts and Jags were definitely losses that we just got to shoulder that blame. But obviously the Giants that should have been a win, and it could have been a win. And then, but another one, offensive inconsistencies, slow offense. So I think it comes down to I need to see a little bit more from this offense as we finish the year, a little bit more consistency. Justin Herbert was off to a great start, MVP type start, and then the offensive line kind of slowed that down a little bit. So
Yeah.
hopefully we can get back to that level. I know he's been being great. But I just want to, after an 81-yard performance, I think he'll come out and be special as we finish this year. So maybe I hate to call it a wake-up call in week 11, but maybe it's something that makes you look in the mirror as you're getting ready this week off and be like, man, we cannot just let teams play like that, and we can't play like that ourselves. So, how do I feel about it? I guess to answer the question finally, I feel good that we're a playoff team. I don't feel good about the way that we've been inconsistent. So this last stretch of games will be able to tell us a lot about the team that we are.
Yes, sir. No, I'm right there with you, man. Definitely got a tough stretch coming up, and we need to buckle down and get right. So this next one, I'm probably gonna not couple these together, but the next one we had a comment. Someone just said, y'all going," and I'm pretty sure they're talking about, yeah, we're going to the playoffs, and I agree. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think we missed the playoffs. I think that obviously we do have some tough games ahead, and I think um, our schedule makers didn't do us any justice. I mean, like I said, these first 11 weeks before the bye, a lot of travel, going back and forth, jumping to different time zones, stuff like that. And then these last 6 games after the bye, I mean, it's a tough stretch. I mean, even out of the bye, week 12, Raiders, yeah, Raiders are 2-8 right now, but division game, man, and you can see it, man. You can't write any division. I mean, you can't write any game off in the NFL, man. The NFL is the NFL.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday, man, you can lose a game to a really bad team. So, especially a division game. So, appreciate y'all going. I think we going too. I'll let you comment on that real quick. I mean, you think we going?
We're going.
Yeah, we in there, man. We definitely going. But yeah, to jump over to our next one, what seed do the Chargers end up with? It's a good question. Because right now, obviously, we're sitting at the sixth seed. Um, and then you look at it, I think I would even have to pull it up because I know it's us, is the
Jacksonville's
Jags.
behind us at 7. So if they win this weekend, they would
Mhm.
jump ahead of us. But Buffalo just lost.
Yep,
So we would flip with them because we have a better AFC record. So
yep,
um, I think technically speaking, at this very moment that we're recording, we are the 5 seed.
the five seed. Yep,
But if Jacksonville wins this week, we stick back to the 6 heading into week 13. Apart from that,
yeah.
nothing else will change other than whatever Jacksonville's result is because of that head to head.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if I had to give a, obviously, an early prediction on where we'd sit, I would have to say it would I don't think we finish five seed because I do think that Buffalo, I mean, I know, they just lost to the Texans just as we're kind of, recording this, but I do think that they either get the highest wild card seed or I don't see the Pats losing that many more games. I mean, they have a really easy schedule. Um, but I think that's the outlook for the Bills. They're either going to take the division, which I think that's going to be a stretch, especially losing tonight. So I think they get the fifth seed. I think we fight for the sixth or the seventh seed. But I think who we're going to be battling against for that sixth or seventh seed could be the Chiefs, honestly, because I know they're on the outside looking in, but you could never write off an Andy Reid and Mahomes led team. I do think the Jags, if they keep playing football the way that they're playing, I think that obviously they'll be in a fight for this too. But then you look over at the AFC North too. I mean, you look at teams like the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, those teams are neck and neck. I mean, what if they both play lights out? The end of this season. I mean, they one of those teams are going to make the playoffs, and then the other one's going to be fighting for a wild card spot. So
Right.
you got a lot of teams that could be fighting for that that sixth and seventh seed. Um, I think if we handle business and do what we need to, based on our schedule and the games that we have remaining, um, I would love, 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 love for us to go 11-6 because I think that would put us in that six seed.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll be honest, I think it's probably looking more 10-7 if I'm being honest and real with just what we have, in our O line and just how we've looked. Now, I'm anticipating a big, big step forward coming out of this bye.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at the product that we've put out the last couple of weeks, I'm anticipating more 10-7, and I think it's going to be a toss up for that six or seven spot. So I think we'd probably sit ideally at the sixth seed, but I wouldn't be surprised if we finish as a seventh seed.
You know, even with a 10-7 finish, I just did a couple schedule look aheads for both the Bills and the Jags. The Bills are so inconsistent defensively, and
Mhm,
they've lost a few pieces tonight that I think they're susceptible to a few losses. You look at who they got. They got to play Pittsburgh next week. They still got to play the Patriots. They play a Joe Burrow Bengals because it looks like he's coming back. If not next week, this week, then the next, and that's 2 weeks from now. The Bengals.
mhm.
Um, and I just went off of it, but they had somebody else on the schedule who was tough. So I could easily see them for sure losing two, at least two, and maybe even three, right? Then you look at the Jags. The Jags have a couple easy ones these next two, but then two out of so their last 4 or 5, they got Colts twice and Broncos. So unless the Colts are resting starters the second to last week, which I don't think they will because they'll be fighting for a 1 seed.
Mhm.
Um, that's three. That could be 3 losses right there. Boom, boom, boom. That's 7.
Yeah,
I think the Bills could easily get to 6 or 7 losses. So for us, if we go 4-2, I think that puts us at the 5 seed, honestly.
yeah.
And so I'm gonna predict a 5 seed matchup with the AFC North winner, which is either gonna be the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Baltimore Ravens, trending toward the Ravens. Um, but we could get a Harbaugh Bowl in the first round of the playoffs. So I think that's gonna be something to keep an eye on. You can't trust the team off of 1 game, Jacksonville.
Mhm.
They're a solid team, but that's 3 tough games. Even if they go two, and they tie us, then it puts us 6. So I'm saying 5 or 6, but I'm going to go on a limb and say 5 seed because I can see Jacksonville dropping 3 out of these last 7 games for them. So
No, I like it. I like it. Optimistic, and I like that. I like that five seed over the six. Definitely would love to play one of those teams in the AFC North. I think that, and I mean, honestly, a Harbaugh Bowl would be great.
yeah,
Because obviously we lost the last matchup against them last year, so we'd love to see that kind of unwind and get that dub against Bro.
Yeah, so brings us to one of our last questions here as we're going to wrap this up. Shout out to everybody sticking with us. Shout out to all the fans that sent us questions and replied. I had some TikTok replies that I didn't even get to for these ones. But keep showing love on the comments. Keep following, sending it to your other Charger fans, sending it to anybody you know that's want to tap in with the Bolts. We appreciate it. We're trying to grow. We see all the other podcasts out there, and so we're just trying to do our thing, bring our content, give you guys how we feel about the team. Before I touch on this one, I had one that I had to talk about real quick, but I think I should be the one to handle this real quick. But then I'll just jump right to the next one. Someone asked, "How do you handle divided household slash wives?" And I think I know who asked that question because my wife is a Chiefs fan, and so the way that I handle it is I ask her to leave on Sundays. No, I'm playing. Um, we just don't worry about it until we play each other. We keep love, and we keep that first and foremost. But on Sundays, the powder blue is on, and it's about the Bolts. But anyways, no, we're gonna finish it off here with we were asked who would you most and least like to see on the road in the playoffs. So this question is anticipating us being a wild card, which it looks like we will be after the loss this week, unless Denver really folds. Um, I mean, I guess if they lose, if we go 5-1 or really even 6-0, and Denver loses twice, then we would overtake them because that means we beat them again. But this is estimating we're in a wild card matchup. So I guess who would you most and least like us to see on the road in the playoffs?
To be honest, I mean, I know we don't like a lot of those, I wouldn't say we don't like them. We just haven't fared well on those West Coast to East Coast trips. But honestly, if they don't get the one seed and get the bye, I would love to see the Patriots, honestly.
Ooh.
I would love to see the Patriots round one. I think just a super young team. I think they've been riding high. They're winning all these games, but they're playing a really easy schedule. Now, they did beat the Bills, so I'll give them that. And they did beat a Baker Mayfield-led Buccaneers. But outside of that, I don't think they've played anybody. So I will say that I would love to see them first round, that real young team, real young offensive line, young quarterback, just a lot of new pieces over there. I would love to see them first round. Will it happen? I guess we'll see. Now, who I would least like to see, that's a tough one. Because I just think that I mean, we know what we're dealing with, but I just think anytime you can get 10 in a game, I'm confident that we can pull out the win.
Yeah.
Now, the team that I would least like to see, honestly, I know we talk about having a hardball bowl, but I feel like probably the Ravens, honestly, because they do a couple things where I feel like we struggle to deal with. And one of them is the run game. Now they got Derrick Henry over there, they got Lamar Jackson over there. And I feel like we struggle against mobile quarterbacks. And I mean, he's the most mobile of them all.
Yeah.
So that's something that I probably wouldn't want to see them because I just feel like we struggle so much against these mobile quarterbacks. Now I could say the same thing about, playing, Josh Allen and the Bills, but I think their offense is just a lot different than the Ravens. I think they rely on Lamar's legs a lot. Um, and I mean, I've seen it in past matchups where Lamar's been pretty tough on us, and he's done some things that we just haven't an answer for. So I'd probably say I want to say Lamar to least, but I would like to see the Pats. So it'll be my most and least. What about you?
Interesting, especially judging by the records, right? Baltimore's 5-5 and New England is what 8-2. So you would think it would be flipped that answer, but I mean I like that perspective and I see you. I'm going to start with the team I'd least want to face, and that's going to be the Colts. We struggle against the run, plain and simple.
Hmm.
Not struggle against the run, but let me rephrase this. If we can't stop the run, our
Hmm.
defense struggles. Look at that Jags game that just happened. We could
Yeah.
not stop ETN or Tootin, and then they made the pass game a lot easier. Look what the Colts did to us, and they're going to keep that same game plan, and they got the same tough O line, and they'd be at home.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to see them again. I'm good on seeing them unless it was like AFC Championship and then it's like, whoever it is. At that point, we're probably rolling. So it is what it is. But don't want to see them as a first round matchup. That's what I'm taking this question as. Who I'd most want to see? Um, I'd love if we got to that 5 seed like I'm predicting. and then we get to see Pittsburgh pull off their division. They're in the lead right now. If they just hold water and get there, I think I don't think they have anything for us, especially offensively. Whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph now, do I think they'll hold on to the division? Probably not.
Yeah.
But just by how it's looking right now, and you never know what can happen. I mean, injuries are part of the game. Lamar could easily have something happen. Um, you never know in those matchups anyway, right? So I think team I'd most want to face, which it's still a realistic possibility because they're right in the mix for their division, would be us finishing as the top wild card and then playing Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, I like it. And I like how we're different on all of our takes as far as like we don't have the same team we want to play and we don't have the same team that we least, want to play. So a lot of different playoff implications and different seedings would have to kind of, pan out for us to obviously get into those specific matchups. But man, we've seen some crazy things happen, especially with the last couple of weeks. You got teams that are fighting for, wild card spots. You got teams that are fighting for the one seed. You got teams that they know their seating is locked up where they're at, no matter what a winner or loss. So you got teams, benching starters. So there'll be a lot of things because I think even in that last week 18, we played the Broncos. I mean, who knows what it looks like for them? I mean, do they have the one seed locked up?
Right.
Who knows? Do they have the division locked up? Like, who knows what it looks like for them? And it's like, I saw something on the it was the Believe podcast. It was, Matt Money Smith and Lorenzo Neal talking about, how, what if the Broncos has the division locked up and they have an opportunity to keep Kansas City out, and if it's like it depends on, a win against the Chargers would let KC in and maybe us get bounced out, or if they beat us, or if we beat them, we're in and KC is out. So there was like a lot of like things that he was talking about. I was like, that's actually kind of interesting because, man, I mean, yeah, it would kind of, to me, it would show kind of fear, like, oh, you're scared of Kansas City. You're gonna let the Chargers win just so Kansas City can be out. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it because we're in, so I don't care. But it was an interesting take, like, oh, okay, let the Chargers win. Chiefs are out. It was just interesting. But yeah, week 18, there's always those things that teams they're analyzing. Okay,
Yeah.
what do we gain from winning this game? What do we lose from putting our starters out there? I mean, we seen it with ourselves. Went out there week 18. We didn't need to put our starters out there. Mike Williams gets hurt, doesn't play in the
Against the
playoffs. We
Broncos.
lose. Exactly. So it's all those things where it's like you gotta be making decisions, and sometimes they hurt you, sometimes they don't. So a lot of stuff, a lot of implications with those last couple of weeks. So um, just interesting to see how we come out of this bye week and get things rolling.
Absolutely. End of the day, if we're in the playoffs, in those most least likely, I don't care. Like we need to win a playoff game this year. I need to see Herbert win a game. The last two playoff games leave a bad taste in my mouth, and we just need to get that out of there and get a win. You look at that Houston, you look at the Jacksonville game, like. I don't think there's any way. I mean, man, I'm not going to put this out there. There's going to be a better playoff performance. Okay, so I need to see a better playoff performance, and I think that's there. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to meaningful football being played and just big games because we're going to be tested heading into the playoffs already. We're going to have that type of feel. Like that Monday night game against Philly, it's going to feel like a playoff game. Both teams have plenty to play for, and that's a Super Bowl winning team there. That's a
Yep.
measuring stick game, right? The last 2 weeks against KC and Denver, playoff type feels because if KC is still trying to make it, they're gonna have to beat us at that point.
Yeah.
It's must win for them at this point anyway. So
Hmm.
unless their season's just done, it's gonna be a playoff type feel. Denver,
Yeah.
same thing. Unless they're wrapped up the division, playoff type feel. So I mean, now even look at the a couple weeks before that with Houston's win tonight. Now they're fighting for that last wild card spot, playoff type feel.
Yeah.
Um, Dallas, they still think they have a chance. So almost every game to finish out, except for the Raiders, is a big game at this point for one or both teams in the matchup, and it looks like both teams. So, man, just going to be a fun finish to the year, and can't wait to chop it up with you and see how it all pans out.
Yeah, man. Hopefully everything works out in our favor. Obviously, what side we're going for, man. So yeah, we're gonna close out. Like I said, this was big Chargers mailbag. Real cool kind of twist on this week. Obviously, being on our bye week. We love the participation from everyone who sent in questions and comments. So obviously, big shout out to everyone, all the fans that were kind of just giving us that involvement. This
Yeah.
this this mailbag wouldn't be possible without you guys. So we want to give you a big shout out there. So keep rocking with us, man. We love and appreciate all of the fans, everyone who's been tuning in. They're following us on the social medias, giving us a shout out, keep giving us likes, and even maybe even referring people. Hey, saw this podcast. Oh, check this out. Check out this social media. Check out this YouTube video. Keep doing that because that's the only way we're going to grow and we're going to spread. And we just love you guys for doing that. So we're gonna end out the week here. We're going to hope the things that we've been talking about over in this podcast come to fruition, come
Yep.
out of this bye week ready to rock, and we handle business. We take care of business. We'll bring back that TCB. 'Cause we haven't done that last week, but I think we'll do it coming out of the bye week. So um, let's us enjoy this week off, get a little bit more healthy, and roll into the week 13. You know the acronym for that one, huh? Week 13. F-
FTR.
FTR. FTR. So let's get it, y'all. Love y'all both, fam. Both up.